Buenos días a todos, es un placer recibirlos en la Escuela Nacional.
Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to receive you at the National Museography School, Hermano Ocasión Negrete. The National Institute of Anthropology and History, as well as the European Union delegation to Mexico, welcomes you to the second International Symposium, Intervention Strategies for the Recovery of the Cultural Heritage Damaged by the 2017.
Nos honran con su presencia el excelentísimo señor JeanPierre
with the presence of His Excellency Mr. JeanPierre Boureau, representative of the European Union in Mexico. We have Aida Gonzalez, Technical Secretary of the National Institute of Anthropology and History, as well as Mr. Gerardo Ramos Olvera, the Director of the National School of Museography and Preservation and Restoration.
Muy buenos días a todos.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Be welcome to the National School for Preservation, Restoration, and Museography. It is my pleasure to share this stage with Madame Castillega and with His Excellency Mr. JeanPierre Boureau. To all experts from the European Union, Mexican experts, architects, preservers, restorers, and general audience, it is my pleasure to welcome you. This important academic venue has attested multiple experiences and reflections upon the preservation of cultural heritage. For this school, it is an honor to be part of the second International Symposium, since for our school, as the National School of Preservation, we are socially committed in training top-ranked professionals, not only in the subjects of preservation, restoration, dissemination, and others of our cultural heritage. Being part of it is fundamental. It is therefore an honor to be part of this symposium, so that your expertise can help us in keep on training highly trained professionals in order to face all the necessary tasks in this country from a technical, theoretical, and ethical perspective, which is fundamental in order to intervene and preserve our cultural heritage. May you all be welcome. Thank you.
A continuación, atendamos el mensaje de
We will
bienvenida
now
que nos ha
hear the
enviado la
welcoming
secretaria de
message
Cultura,
sent by
Alejandra
the Minister of Culture, Alejandra Fregosi.
Buenos días, este es un mensaje para agradecerle su presencia
Welcome,
a
everyone.
todos
I'd
los
like to thank
especialistas en el patrimonio.
the attendance of all the experts on the cultural heritage. Welcome to the second International Symposium. Welcome to ENCRIM. This school trains the top experts in Mexico, and in 2017 we had one of the largest catastrophes due to the earthquakes that affected the cultural heritage. So the European Union helps strengthening these links, and we strengthen our experiences back and forth. It is our pleasure to greet you in this beloved school. Unfortunately, I'm not able to join you this morning. I'm part of a cultural event, but I am sure that cooperation and experience exchange lived in these past 2 years, where 2,600 assets were affected by earthquakes. We have now progressed in a 50% rate, and that is due to the effort of many restorers, preservers, and thanks to local training, they've been able to progress. So we'll love to hear your expertise and best practices in order to strengthen our current experience. Thank you, and may you all have a successful symposium. now hear the Technical Secretary of INA, Aida Gonzalez. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Allow me to apologize on behalf of our General Director, Diego Prieto Hernandez, since he is part of the national meeting from the different delegations of the Ministry of Culture. He is part of that meeting, which is why he is unable to be part of today's symposium. He would have loved to be here today, not only to address the floor, but also to welcome you personally in order to reiterate his gratitude on the efforts done through this international cooperation. His Excellency JeanPierre Boureau, Deputy Head from the European Union, Mr. Gerardo Ramos Olvera, Director of the National School for Preservation, Restoration and Museography, Manuel Castillo Negrete, and dear peers. It is our pleasure to welcome you. Yesterday, those of us that were part of the tour had the opportunity to do so, but we want to welcome you to this second International Symposium for exchanges between the European Union and Mexico, devoted to the intervention strategies for the recovery of the cultural heritage damaged by the 2017 earthquakes. In former experience exchanges, we have seen countries that are joining us today. We'd like to greet experts coming from Germany, Italy, Spain, Hungary, and Portugal to add to this event with their expertise and experience for Mexican experts. This symposium has been jointly created by the European Union delegation to Mexico, the Ministry of Culture, and the National Institute for Anthropology and History. This has happened through the National Cultural Heritage Preservation Coordination and the National Historic Monuments Preservation Coordination. We thank the Embassy of Italy and the Italian Institute of Culture in Mexico as well for hosting this event. As Professor Gerardo Ramos mentioned, we are pleased for the fact that this school is the venue for the second International Symposium, and hopefully it will remain so to address earthquake-related subjects. Being this venue, students themselves from the National School have the opportunity to getting to know these experiences by first hand. A year ago, the first edition of this symposium took place, and it was successful. Otherwise, we would not have been here today. Due to it, our expectation is for this symposium to be long-lasting. As was foreseen at that time, the second International Symposium was created due to the strategic planning regarding how to include society to the cultural heritage in damage restoration due to earthquakes. The scientific and technical debate is a relevant component in the international technical cooperation, and in our country it is the basis on a dialogue when restoring and preserving national cultural heritage. This year, the National Institute of Anthropology and History has its 80th anniversary, and throughout this time we have always received international cooperation, and we have been included in treaties and covenants, meaning that this institute has also developed history through an international cooperation. These working grounds have set the basis of a fruitful dialogue. This dialogue started yesterday with the visit of the technical inspection to the old convent of San Guillermo de Totolapan and the open chapel in Nepopualpo. Both buildings are within Totolapan municipality in the state of Morelos. 2 years from this catastrophe, the goal of these tours, as well as the conferences and further activities included in this symposium, will allow us to have a cross-cutting and direct analysis on the best practices, and we will also identify what are the so-called areas of opportunities, but for the concerns that we are facing in restoring. By the European Union's accompanying and its member states and its direct intervention, our aim is to provide a greater response to all the complex issues, including decision-making, nowadays and in the future. As we are all aware of, it's not only about sharing technical aspects, but also criteria that is underlying this subject. And this, of course, will be included and will pave the way for treaties upon its agreement. Earthquakes are a historical component in Mexico. We grant value to cultural heritage due to the meaning that it provides. And just as it creates relationship between our countries, we should also include society so that it is in constant cooperation. Heritage is exposed not only to natural phenomena such as earthquakes, but also to other accidents and such as fires, for instance with the National Brazil Museum, and many more. Since some of them lack an international scope, in spite of it, they remain important. So experience generated today will hopefully be included in restoring other sites. Cultural heritage restoration is a complex interdisciplinary subject that's in the mutual interest of Mexico and the European Union and its member states. It includes technical aspects, execution, and performance on such a relevant subject, which is the challenge we are facing. We can now work jointly to have a richful and redefined action criteria and reconstruction standards. As it's been said in previous fora, for the INA, experience exchange and knowledge exchange allows us to know that it's not only about restoring or preserving objects or monuments. Our aim is preserving material attributes that are underlying a live value system. It is up to date and it needs to be thoroughly analyzed in order to be given to further generations. Traditional practices related to historic monuments provide support to the social structure. Its cultural heritage and its transformations are currently updating the collective memories. Therefore, people need to first know the history and the role that it presents to each community. In Onoalco, before the bells, we were reflecting upon this issue, and the same was the case before the open chapel. What do we do in such circumstance? This chapter of collaboration through technical experience, studies, analysis, intervention projects, advisory to specific projects on behalf of European Union experts, represents an invaluable support which strengthens our cooperation links between our countries. Through this, we will jointly develop best practices for the protection, restoration, preservation, as well as for criteria and standards. Many of these are backed and included in treaties, charters, and of course the monumental economic support has undoubtedly been key in facing this task, as pointed beforehand by the minister. And we will also talk about the most difficult intervention assets. Now, these practices, if they are not included in true treaties between different multidisciplinary experts, there is no true goal, no future for it. People that are part of this symposium will share best practices that will need to be kept up to date. Thank you. We will now give the floor to the European Union Deputy Director, Mr. JeanPierre Boureau, His Excellency. Thank you very much. Mr. Gerardo Ramos Olvera, General Director of the National School for Preservation, Restoration and Museography, Manuel Castillo Negrete, by its acronym NCRIM, Madame Aida Castilleja, representative of the National Institute of Anthropology and History, INA, dear peers, experts, welcome. It is an honor and a pleasure to be part of this second international symposium that will be backing up the joint efforts in refurbishing neighborhoods and buildings affected and damaged by the 2017 earthquake. In such a way, we will preserve the rich Mexican heritage. The answer and the response after this earthquake has been immediate through technical assistance, study drafting, and concrete projects. A multidisciplinary group of European experts visited 33 assets together with the Ministry of Culture, and they conducted an analysis of damage observed in inspected assets. They also identified inherent characteristics of each monument. As part of the mission, we included in the core of our cultural collaboration, thinking about potential damaged structures. Cultural heritage between Mexico and the European Union, as well as its member states, did not finish with that mission. This event was created to provide continuity to the initial efforts that took place in 2017 and to reinforce cultural heritage. A year ago, we launched the first symposium, including 20 European experts and with 200 experts as part of the audience. For the European Union and its member states, cultural diversity and intercultural dialogue are an important part of our values. They seek strengthening the effectiveness and impact of our foreign policy by including international practices in foreign policy instruments. For us, heritage restoration and preservation is a means to represent the European Union and the world's cultural heritage that should be appreciated and preserved, left in the hands of future generations. The European Union has gathered a wealth of experience, and we are willing to share this experience with other world partners. Mexico is a key country for this type of an exchange. The European Union and Mexico, well, we share the same wealth of cultural heritage as well as a strong interest in preserving such heritage. So cooperation comes naturally to us. Due to multiple roundtables, this initiative allows us to reflect broadly upon protecting our cultural heritage at risk and also its different dimensions. In this spirit, in May 2018, the European Union adopted a new European Union agenda focused on culture that includes 3 strategic objectives with a social, economic, and external vision. The social vision entails the idea that cultural potential needs to be used as well as its diversity to strengthen social cohesion and welfare. The economic vision, of course, with the support of creativity based in culture, includes education, innovation, and it may represent a positive impact in job creation and growth. And the external vision is focused on international cultural efforts. Within this political framework, in continuous collaboration with these members, today's symposium will provide more cooperation in the cultural sphere, and more concrete cooperation projects will stem from it. So I wish you fruitful working days for further interventions. Thank you. We thank everyone for their attendance. May you all have a wonderful day.
Bueno, quisiera recordarles a los especialistas europeos
I would like to remind our fellow European experts that if you want the auditorium, please. Thank you.